What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be reviewing my team associated RC10T3. So this is a 1/10 scale 2-wheel drive stadium truck. So these things are starting to get a little bit more collectible or sought after on the used market just because they are vintage RCs. So you can get one on eBay, like a nice roller in pretty good condition for right around $100. And of course the price will go up as you get electronics with it and stuff like that. So this one was actually my first RC. This is the one that got me into the hobby, and as you can see, over time it kind of turned into an obsession. But anyway, this is one of my favorite trucks that I have. I really do like this truck. So this was back in the day a kit, I believe, and the person that gave it to me is because it was a gift. I believe they put it all together and everything, and this is how I got it. So looking closer at the truck itself, the body here is based off of like a Ford trophy truck or something, and they didn't paint it to replicate the actual trophy truck. They just spray painted it green, and I'm totally fine with it. I don't have any desire really to repaint it or get a new body. It's just totally fine with me. So you got the stickers everywhere. I do think that helps with the look of it. Looks pretty good. So you got the bright yellow wheels and like the conical shape there on all four tires there. This one I believe broke, so I put a new one on the back there. Looks a little different than the others. So attached to the two rear wheels, we have Proline bow ties. So these are good tires for the terrain you'd find most stadium trucks in, like clay and softer stuff. The terrain I drive it on is pretty rough, so it kind of wears it down pretty good. So I'm gonna need to replace these at some point pretty soon. But I do really like the tread design of these tires. They are really good tires. I really love how soft they are. It's like just really fun to just sit here and squish them like that. It's almost therapeutic. So up front, I don't know if this is the name of these tires, if they're called the Edge, but they are Prolines. These are really good tires too. They just have a nice deep rib pattern throughout them. They still have plenty of tread life left on them, but they do give pretty good grip because it's pretty light in the front on this truck. But they do give pretty good grip, and again, they're nice and squishy. So now let's go ahead and take the body off with these old body clips that are probably about as old as the car itself. And underneath you will find a bunch of other old electronics, and of course you see the massive antenna there, which is hooked to the Airtronics 2-channel receiver. It is a 75 megahertz, so not very good distance. Here's the controller right here, just a rival controller. It does have digital proportional throttle and steering. Steering wheel feels really nice, has a nice rubber grip on it, and it feels really nice to hold, but you don't have any reverse. The ESC is just programmed to go forward, so that gets kind of hard sometimes, but no big deal. So you got your trim and controls like that up there. Got your battery level rating there. This thing does take a bunch of batteries, takes 8 batteries. So yeah, a lot of batteries. And then it has one of the, I've heard it referred to as like a poke your eye out antenna. And this thing is just huge. I mean, I'm going to put this thing on the floor and bring it up. I mean, look at that thing. If you put it up here, it's just like way up there. So yeah, even with all that right there, you don't really have that much radio reception. I mean, this thing doesn't have a failsafe on it or anything, so if it gets out of range or if it just gets feedback from something else, it'll just take off. So you have to kind of keep it in close range, even with that much radio signal. But anyway, hooked up to that, it's going to be the servo. I don't know what brand it is. It's just a sealed servo, but it's plenty strong. It's held up super good over all this time. Still works great. It does have a pretty tight turning circle, which is really nice. So there's that. We've got an old Novak 410 M5 ESC. So, back in the day it was a pretty good, racing, pretty high quality ESC, and it still works good. It's just, not very good in today's standards. I mean, like I said, it only goes forward, but it's got a Dean's connector, so you can hook it up to most type of batteries there. Got a little LED that flashes, some other stuff. For lack of better words, I'm just calling these heat dissipation bricks. But you get several of these, and you can just kind of stack them up if you want, because this thing will get pretty hot if you want to just dissipate some heat. But yeah, it's nice. ESC works good still. So the battery tray is nice and long. You can see it says it's got the extra long chassis there. But I really like this battery tray, just a really simple design with one body clip, just this one little stick holding it in, and it works great. Just simple but functional. So as for the motor that we have on this thing, to have this motor right here, which is an old Trinity racing motor. Here's all the specs for it right there. But this, you know, these Trinity or just most race motors like this, old brushed ones, just have a bunch of adjustability features and stuff like that. And then replaceable brushes up here. And back when I first got this thing, one of these brushes up here burned out, and I didn't really know anything about it, so I just took the motor out and got a new one. And got this Reedy Radon, or however you say it, just sealed can 17 turn brush motor. It's one of the cheapest ones you can get from like the Associated Parts website, but it's a good engine. It does produce plenty of power and all that. It does have a problem with heating up really fast. I'm not really sure if I'm just over geared or something, but it just heats up way too fast and gets super hot. So at some point I'll probably end up switching this back on whenever this gives out or something, but for now it works good. So as you can see, this thing does have a pretty decent amount of ground clearance and quite a bit of shock travel. So I don't know how old these shocks are, because I don't really know what weight oil is in them or anything like that. But I mean, as you can see, it doesn't really rebound in the back very well. The front's a little better, but again, it could use some work. So back here, you know, I'm not really a big fan of having it exposed like this, because just rocks get in there super easily and just make a loud clacking noise every time that it turns and hits the pinion gear here. But not a big deal. And my dad and I actually rebuilt the diff a few years ago, and it's working great still. So anyway, that's pretty much a rundown of it. It's a great truck, still is in pretty good shape for, you know, having taken all the abuse it's taken over all the years. So now that we've looked at it all, let's go ahead and go drive it. Alright, so we're going to start out with a speed test down the straight here. So remember that this is a, you know, old vintage, probably 90s RC car, so speed is definitely not one of the strong suits of it. But let's go ahead and go. You saw where it kind of started fidgeting there at the end. That's because it lost range. So that's what I'm talking about with how bad the range is on these things, these 75 megahertz ones. But you know, as you can see, it's not terribly slow, but not very fast either, probably high 20s or something. Alright, so terrain like this loose gravel is where you can have quite a bit of fun with these things. Because, you know, like I said, it's rear wheel drive, so you can just sit there and spin around or do little drifts. You can see that my back left tire keeps trying to come off. It's all wobbling there. Need to glue it down. But yeah, like I said, you can have quite a bit of fun on terrain like this with a rear wheel drive car like this. Alright, so this is the terrain. This is like a pretty good match for the terrain you'd find a stadium truck in, this kind of hard packed clay, stuff like that. But anyway, you know, like RC racing has really come a long way, because these team associated trucks like this were used for, you know, racing and stuff back in the day. And like I said, it's come a long way. I mean, this thing is not fast, doesn't really feel like it has that much power. It feels kind of delicate. Like with my ECX, I can just kind of bash it. And here comes the dog. But with my ECX, I can just kind of bash it. There it goes. So, you know, I can bash it and just kind of run into things, cartwheel it, and it's just fine. This one, I feel like if I hit anything, it's going to break it. And just the differential. Well, I apologize for my dog's bad behavior. I don't know what it is about that one and only RC car, but he just goes crazy over it. So I'm going to head to a different spot here. So anyway, like I was saying, in this one I feel like if I do anything, you know, anything to it, it's going to break, or like the gears are going to strip, or the differential is going to mess up. So yeah, it just feels really delicate, but I guess that's all part of having a vintage RC. I mean, it does do pretty decent on terrain like this. Whoa. This is the only two-wheel drive RC that I have, so I really do like drifting it around and stuff. It's pretty fun. I don't have very high hopes for it to crawl up that very well, but let's try it. it just kind of sounds like it's trying to strip the differential out when I try to do stuff like this, so you know, I don't really like to do stuff like this. So it does get pretty inconvenient, like in situations like this, to not have reverse. So you have to either drive really carefully or you have to run out and turn it around all the time. So the motor's already starting to heat up a decent amount, and you know, I haven't been driving it much, as you've seen so far in the video. So like I said, the motor does have a heat problem. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, this is just a review of my old vintage RC. These are definitely super awesome, cool old vintage trucks if you can find one. Definitely pretty cool if you pick one up. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.